a lot going on.
There is.
But before we start with that, I do want to throw out my appreciation to our biggest super fan, or I guess just our super fan.
One of them.
One of them.
That we know of. There could be many more.
Yeah, there could be. It could be a lot. Chris Priest. I wanted to apologize because he's been getting death threats, I guess, for being aligned with us, watching our podcast. Untoward advances.
I'm sure some
men.
of those threats are just because of the person that he is, though. Has nothing to do with the show.
Maybe, perhaps, yeah. But he is the nicest guy in the world. So anyway, we do have some dueling super fans because my brother. I'll try to get some of those death threats thrown my brother's way to try to take the heat off Chris. But another thing that's happening is it looks like Tucker Carlson's worried about the Life on the Brinks podcast,
Absolutely.
Overtaking his rank. I don't know if you saw his latest. It's on the screen behind me, but his latest
from Friday's episode, I believe.
He's a little nervous. He gave us a shout out. Life on the Brinks is really taken over. But anyway, so speaking of taking over, let's start with our first topic. Something that's been kind of heavy on my heart lately, and that's the trucker convoy. You go ahead and share what you think about the trucker convoy first. I know you've been losing a lot of sleep.
I just all I'm doing, I honk all night thinking about it, but it's devastating.
It is. I mean, I feel so bad for them. They're just trying to stand up for freedom.
Right.
Freedom to choose whether. From what I hear, 90% of them are vaccinated, but they just don't feel like it should be something that the government is forcing upon them.
Well, and now when you say when you said freedom, and I know most people when they go, oh come on, I mean that's so stupid, freedom. I mean we all have freedom, we can do whatever we want, except for now this mandate that's dying down now, and now it's been proven. I mean all of that stuff wasn't legit.
Right, they weren't taking natural immunity seriously. Now they're starting to talk about it.
Well, everything I hear now, the masks don't work.
Masks don't.
They knew that. I mean, but that's what the CDC is saying. That's what everyone's saying.
We're gonna get kicked off. This is gonna get banned if we keep talking about that.
No, but then you see schools. There's still basketball teams playing with masks on.
Yeah, they're making kids.
But the thing is, everything. I mean, I watched some of Lowell High School's just some pictures from their page or whatever, and they all had masks on, but they were all hanging under their chin. So I don't understand.
They can't breathe.
Right, so I'm saying, why not?
Well, the thing is, the parents need to stand up and say, my kid's not wearing a mask at school. You can let your kid wear a mask at school, that's fine, that's your freedom, that's your right. But my kid's not wearing a mask at school. So, the truckers, they're standing up. They're saying, no, this isn't Nazi Germany. We're not going to stop, at all these point checks to show our papers that we've been vaccinated. We have a right to do interstate travel, go across the border from Canada to the United States with the goods that they've been bringing to us throughout the whole pandemic, and they were called heroes back before these vaccines were created. The truckers were working the whole time. They were the most essential of all of the workers, but now they're like, oh no, you got to take this. Now that the disease is pretty much dying down, everything's we still. I'm going to call him Troubadour so we don't get our thing banned, but he's being a dictator. He's being an authoritarian. He's Xi Jinping is what he's doing. He's not backing down, and they're saying all we want is our right to choose and not be forced to show papers. How is...
Well, and this is the whole thing, is everyone's slowing down on all of their mandates and all of their enforcements.
I mean, every other country.
I mean, there are all the stuff, like even here in Kentucky, my work, it was mandated, and then now it's like they just stopped talking. They're like, all right, we're done with it. I mean, we're not going to do anything. But now Canada is still enforcing this when there's there's not even science behind it now.
No, science is...
So it doesn't make any sense. But why? I don't understand how you can pick and choose. Drivers, they have to be vaccinated.
Right.
But restaurant workers or whatever it is.
Well, that's in the U.S. I don't wear a mask.
But
anyway,
it's not a universal mandate.
That's all. that's all like. But aside from what you think is right, like let's say you're sitting at home and you're like, they need to stop these truckers. They can't let these truckers protest like this. They're blocking normal people. But all Troubadour has to do is say, you know what? They don't. Let's just let them choose whether they want the vaccine or not. They've been working this whole time. They've been essential this whole time. We need the wares. We need our stock supplied in the grocery stores. Let's just let them choose. Just repeal the mandate here, like they're doing in all these other countries. He won't do it. Why?
Well, the one downfall of that though is that if you, and obviously this one is crazy, but then truckers would say, well, I'm not going to get safety inspections, or I'm not going to, they can refuse other
No.
things and say, hey,
No.
we'll just block the roads until
No.
you don't.
They won't do that. Nobody, reasonable people who can think rationally, they love freedom. They need freedom. Freedom is anyway. They would never do that. Those kind of things, stopping at stop signs, driving the speed limit. Rational people understand that. Those keep everybody safe when you follow those laws. So nobody's not. This isn't that. Getting something injected into you isn't that. They're saying you can't go too far. As the government's going too far.
No, I agree.
Okay, let's put it this way. You have people, even in America, that go, just get the vaccine. Just shut up. It saves everybody's lives, which we know it doesn't. We know it's. Anyway, we're not going to talk about the vaccine again. I'm sick to death of that. But let's say you're one of those people. Oh, just get it. Just shut up and get the vaccine. Keep your neighbors safe. You don't have the right to kill other people, okay? So what about if the government decided, we don't have enough resources anymore for our population. We've got too many illegals coming in. The system's getting overflowed. We don't have the resources. So from now on, Americans, I'm sorry, but you can only have one child. If you get pregnant with a second child, you're going to have to get an abortion. It's for the safety of everybody. Mandatory abortions. Do we shrug our shoulders and go, nah, that makes sense? Yeah, the government has the right to tell us, that we have to have an abortion. Even if we want a second child, even if we want our first child to have a sibling and we wanted a family of 4 our whole lives, let the government. Then people would be like, wait a minute, I don't know about that one. But see, if they agree with the injection, the vaccine, and they got one, then they're sitting at home going, why don't these truckers just shut up? Mm-hmm. Just comply. Just shut up and comply. Get the vaccine. A lot of truckers have the vaccine. They still don't want their brother trucker to have to get the vaccine if he doesn't want it. They don't want to have to stop at all these stop points and show papers like in Nazi Germany saying, "Yep, I've been vaccinated. I'm in the club."
Well, the argument, what I've been seeing too, is that it's a small fringe group that's doing this.
Small fringe group.
But and I don't know what that number is, but and the whole thing is that they're reporting about, obviously on MSNBC and all of these stations where they're saying it's violent, and Trudeau saying that they're Nazi flags and Confederate flags.
Yes.
And
there may have been one.
But that's the whole thing. But they don't show if that's the case, there should be a convoy of trucks with Nazi flags.
Right.
But what it is just one asshat that's out there doing that.
Yeah.
And
they are peaceful. These truckers are peaceful. So but what happens is they know they're peaceful. They know that. He's lying when he says it's not peaceful. So what does he do? They're winning. Oh, they can't. He says, oh, they can't win. I have to win this. I know. Let's send cops in there to take their fuel. Now the cops are confiscating their gas cans and their fuel, and we'll freeze them out. That's a good idea. Let's freeze them out. So what happens? Some really, really nice Canadian shop owner, her shop was called Stella Luna Gelato Cafe. She looks at this happening. She says, oh my goodness, they're freezing out my fellow Canadian truckers. I don't want them to be cold. So she gives $250 of her own money to the trucker convoy so that they can buy fuel, keep warm, whatever it is that they need. And she gets doxxed. Her business gets threatened. And overnight, her business is like getting threatened to be shut down. Her phone's ringing off the hook with people calling and telling her she's a Nazi lover. This woman is on with Jesse Waters, and she's talking about
this. I'll
add
that video so you can watch it. It's right after this, starting now.
Experienced a country so divided, so full of hatred towards friends and neighbors, sorry, I lost you there. So full of hatred towards their friends of neighbors. They may have opinions that differ from theirs, but they're so willing to publicly shame and humiliate and spew forth angry vitriol. We have been called terrorist for the first 36 hours. We were inundated with hatred, with threats of violence. People threatened our team on the phone, telling them we're coming to get you. We're going to throw bricks through your window. You'll pay for this, you Nazi supporter. I personally have been called a disgusting pig of a woman and that I should rot in hell. Our rural shop out in Merrickville, Ontario, someone draped a large bed sheet over our sign. I'm sorry. It's been a tough few days, and I think, the sign read, "Tammy supports terrorists." Now, Mama Bear is going to dig out her claws on that one, and we're getting the video surveillance and the incident, and we will pursue that with the police. But
back from the video.
Yeah, back from the video. She was crying. She's like, I just want to be a good person. Just where's the humanity? And that's all I'm saying. Don't sit in your home. Another thing we have got to talk about. We stumbled on this woman should be the next president of the United States. Her name's Tricia Lindsay, and she's an attorney in New York. And she was at, Stop the Mandates in Washington. No, it was in New York. Or Washington. I don't know. But anyway, she gave this brilliant speech. That's also included in here. You've got to watch this girl. She is fantastic. She makes me ashamed because what she says is exactly what I feel. It's what I've always felt my whole life. It's what I wish I could just have a bullhorn and stand on a soapbox and scream all day, every day to the masses. Because people, we're not getting this.
You understand? It's not good enough to just come here and listen to speeches and go back home and get comfortable again. We are at war. We are at war for our family, our children, our lives. The 14th Amendment gives us due process. It guarantees us equal protection under the laws. So why in the world are the unvaccinated being treated differently than the vaccinated? It is the new segregation. It is the new discrimination. So, the Declaration of Independence says that everyone, by virtue of being a human being, has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The federal government, their purpose is to protect the rights of those citizens, the rights of us to our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The third point of that document is if they fail to protect its citizens and enforce those rights, the citizens have a right to revolt. Do you understand? We have a right to resist, and we have an obligation and a duty to do so. Do you understand? Do you understand when it says a duty to step between a tyrannical government and its laws? They are coming for our children. We cannot sit down. Every great leader knows, every one of them, even the bad ones know, that if you want to affect the country, you go for its children. When in the world do we start using children as bulletproof vests for us? When in the world do we start testing things on children? It comes to us first. And when you come for our children, you have started a war. And they have declared